Welcome to the Football Show here on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. I'm Kerry, Pollock, Coll Donaldson and Stephen O'Donnell join me here today. It's Cup weekend, guys. Both teams are involved. Coll, Falkirk kick us off with a trip to Celtic Park. How much are you looking forward to that one?
Yeah, really excited. It's similar to last year. I think this is the round earlier this year, but a really challenging game, but a game that we're looking forward to. We did well for around 70 minutes last year. Hopefully 90 minutes this year.
Does that feel like a lifetime ago, that trip, or does it feel like just yesterday you were just there?
Yeah, no, it does. Especially after the way that last season ended. The last sort of month of the season felt about 5 years long, so just recovering from that now.
The summer's knocked a couple of years on as well, I'm sure.
What will the squad have learned from that game then? As you mentioned, you played really well for the majority of the game, but ultimately lost in the end.
Yeah, I think we took a lot of positives from that, to be honest with you, even though it ended up 5-2. The fact that we were able to compete for that length of time and at times play the way that we like to play and implement our game onto Celtic, that was the sort of biggest sort of like, wow, this can work, and it is. And the players took sort of great confidence from that day. But like you say, I think maybe the subs that Celtic made that day and just the intensity that they brought to the game at that stage of the game was just too much for us. But like you say, it's a year on now. We've evolved as a group, so hopefully we can show on Friday night just how much we've evolved.
You got the plaudits you deserved, obviously, from that game. Stephen, Motherwell got similar plaudits because they got the point against Rangers in the opening game. Is there a different attitude for players or teams now going up against the Old Firm?
Look, I think the two of them are always, obviously, with the budget they have, the clout to bring in players. Let's be honest, if they wanted to go for any of Falkirk or Motherwell's players, and they could get them if they wanted them. So there's always the pressure that comes from being at a Celtic or a Rangers to dominate, to kind of put their style of play on you. And it does become difficult. You can get bogged down trying to just kind of work on their strengths rather than maybe focus on your own. And certainly for us against Rangers, first game of the season was really good and performed really well. And I think big games like that, performing well, even if the result maybe doesn't go your way, obviously a draw is a good result, but it can give you the belief. I think it's certainly done that within our squad, is kind of cement the belief that we can play like this against good sides. We'd done well against Hertha Berlin the week before, but you're never really quite sure how good a side they are. It wasn't a competitive match. Yeah. But no, whenever it came Rangers, and obviously the group games in the Cup are a wee bit different for ourselves. We were the heavy favourites in all the games. So that's a different style. That's more a Celtic or a Rangers kind of game. And at times we maybe didn't struggle, but we maybe lacked a kind of cutting edge. We dominated the games, but without being maybe creating that much. But certainly come Rangers, I thought we had plenty of chances, and it was a really entertaining game, which is nothing but positive for the league.
Yeah, a lot of teams now this season, including yourselves, are playing a more attacking style of football, playing out from the back. It sends a wee bit of, anxiousness between the crowds because they're going from the goalkeeper out to the defenders. As defenders yourselves, does that take a little bit more bravery to play like that? Because it opens the opposition up, you can see the attacking players closing in, that sort of thing.
Yeah, no, of course. I think with this probably a massive part of that, our manager is he speaks about being brave. And how do you get players maybe that aren't used to wanting the ball or certainly wanting the ball in that area? Because I'm not going to lie, even when Michael Wimmer came in and he was wanting us to build a wee bit more, I've kind of moved into centre back, and it is a different picture. It just does seem a wee bit off, a wee bit different. But as like everything, you practice it, you get used to it, you do it more in training. And the players have since the manager come in, the players have bought into what he's trying to implement. And then it's just getting used to it. There will be mistakes along the way. And it's about how do you react from those mistakes? How does the manager react? Will show obviously the characters of a manager. And so far so good for Motherwell.
Do you think fans want to see teams and players play that more risky pass, or play attractive football rather than they'll park in the bus as such?
I think it's the sort of style that everyone wants now, isn't it? It's the more acceptable style, to be seen to be passing the ball from the back and building the game through the phases is what everyone wants now, because obviously it started with Guardiola probably before that, but that's really sort of amplified it now. And like you say, there's a lot more teams trying to do it now. I think you talk about the belief in terms of playing at the back, that comes from the manager. And if he didn't think you were good enough to do it, then he wouldn't have you doing it. So, especially with us, since the managers came in, sort of just over 3 years ago now, that was the way he wanted to play. And the reason we were at the football club was because we fitted into that style. So we don't really know anything else. And it doesn't really suit us to go the other way. Even times last season we did, and we did pick up a couple of decent results when our game plan was more back to front. But on the whole, we're a team that looks to pass the ball, build the game from the back. We just feel it gives us that more a sense of control in the game. And if you can dictate possession, then the game's in your hands. Doesn't always work out, but that's sort of our thinking in terms of how we like to build the game.
I think that's something that's interesting and good with Scottish football is there is a few more teams maybe trying to build like that, but if everyone was doing the same thing, it would probably become very boring and ominous to watch at times. Whereas there is different styles, there's different characteristics at clubs, and you just hope again for the whole brand is that it's more exciting. If you're just constantly going back, it would be pretty boring. But if it's with a purpose, you're trying to entice them out, or you're trying to dominate to then have lots of the ball around their 18-yard box, then that should be exciting. Because it's not exciting the ball going long, but what the ball going long does is it gets the ball into the dangerous areas quicker. So that's always going to be the fight in what you believe in as a manager or a board or a club. And no, that's what keeps it exciting. Is hopefully going to bring lots of excitement. Obviously, Falkirk had it with when they were the biggest club in the league at the time in League One, and able to build that style. They went and then smashed it in the Championship, doing similar, and obviously kind of got a bit tighter near the end. But the confidence they should have from those 2 years coming into this year should make it really difficult. And Livingston coming up as well, again, will make it really difficult. So it's going to be an exciting season.
Do you expect it to be more competitive in the top flight this season with what we're mentioning, more teams going for it as such?
I hope so. I hope we're nowhere near it, but I hope we're nowhere near the bottom. Hopefully it's really competitive, trying to get into the top six. Yeah. But again, I think as a whole in Scotland, I think we'd spoke about different league, 16 teams, 12 teams, but I think that's why I would have always liked a bigger league, was to maybe cut the risk a wee bit of getting relegated, to allow maybe boards to be a bit more progressive, and that would hopefully bring a style and a brand that can improve the game within a lot of the teams, and then improve the standard of the national team, because Scottish players getting better on the ball, getting more comfortable on the ball is going to do nothing but advance the national team, and I think that's a stage for us looking to progress. We're fortunate we've got obviously the boys over in Italy, another one now, which is nice,
we'll get to that,
and trying to just improve us as a country as a whole.
Coll, we spoke about Falkirk's style of playing. It's obviously been really successful in recent years. In the Livy game, Falkirk played really attractive football for about 20-25 minutes, but maybe Livingston had a wee bit more cutting edge in the final third. Do you think this season it's going to be a case of we need to have a plan B, a plan C to get through these games?
I think you described a lot of our games with Livingston last season as well. Mm-hmm. So I saw a lot of things this week about how we might need to change, and those games happened last year. Livy beat us 3 out of the 4 games last year in the league, and we still managed to win the league. So as much as we're not naive and don't think like we can just keep playing our football in football, we are really aware of how different it is to do it in the Premier League compared to the Championship and League One. Teams are going to punish you for your mistakes. You're not going to get away with giving the ball in certain areas. And we've spoke about that. So it's not a case of we're just coming up and going, oh, we'll just do this and it'll work out. The gaffer is far too experienced and well-versed in coaching to do that. So we've spoke about it. It's obviously difficult for me when I'm not playing. I don't feel as much a part of it, as much as I try and stay as close to the boys in the change room, speak to them, and that when you're not on the pitch, it's actually difficult. But no, I think we need to continue doing what we're good at. I think we just need to get even better at it, and then work on how we're conceding goals. Look at the sorts of goals we're conceding, the areas that we're conceding these goals in, and if we can stop that, then I think whenever I've been in teams that have been sort of the lower end of the Premier League, the harder thing to do is to score the goals. So we are confident that we're going to score. If we can keep the back door shut, then we'll open up far more games than we'll hopefully lose.
You spoke about the manager there. spoke to your former teammate Michael McKenna this week about the upcoming game on Friday, but he said the manager is so detailed with his analysis and he leaves no stone unturned. How helpful is that as a player to have that as the management?
Yeah, it's brilliant. He's got us all like little robots, just in terms of like the analysis side of things.
Yeah.
When I first came in, it did take a bit of getting used to it in terms of watching videos of Montroses and Alloas and Celtic Hearts for an hour each day. That would be like alien to me. Mm-hmm. But now I can watch video and just like sail through the meeting, and it's actually quite funny to see new signings come in, and they're sort of getting that accustomed to doing it as well. But yeah, like that's probably the gaffer's real strength, is his attention to detail and how he looks at opposition, and that was obviously his job at Celtic, so that's what he's carried on. Sometimes it can be like there's a lot of information, so Stephen's probably sitting there thinking, well, how can you remember it all? You don't remember it all, but what you try and do is take the key points that are specific to where you play on the pitch. So it could be a strength of a striker, or they like to cross the ball, and it just wee things like that when you go out on the pitch give you that sort of wee 5-10% boost.
And you don't have a lot of time to think when you're on the pitch. Can it be difficult in that respect?
Yeah, no, well, I think it's obviously on the pitch there's always imagination for forward players is the best thing, so at some point somebody can produce something that you weren't expecting, but spot on with regards to so kind of wee nuggets to give you maybe that edge, and they're going to be watching similar now. I know I've heard that there is a lot of analysis, but even with us last season, we would be doing quite a lot, not maybe quite as much, but it would be looking at the things you can work on that could maybe implement well against this team's style or this team's, because every team has a weakness. There's a weakness and a strength to everything, and that's where football becomes exciting. It becomes hard to read who's going to win, and as you've said, if I didn't see the game, but if Falkirk's dominating the game and then Livy get a kind of sucker punch to the style, but you can't give up on that, because very worst case, right, Falkirk don't win any games and they get relegated. If they've stuck to their style, they'll come straight back up to then have learned again on how do we get better. So that's how obviously that's not the aim, but it's about trying to improve and having a patience to believe in something. And as I said, with two back-to-back promotions, it's no doubt they believe in it. They're going to keep building on it, and hopefully, if they need to get better, maybe hopefully not good enough to be above us, but no, it will be an exciting season.
You've added obviously names to the squad, Brian Graham, your Scott Arfield. Just how crucial are they going to be this season, the experience that they'll bring to the squads?
Yeah, massively. You've seen that already. Obviously, like, we've not won a game in the first two games, so boys can begin to panic and think, when will that first win in the Premier League come? There's so many boys first year starting playing in the Premier League, and they're all at good ages. Like, they're not young players. So these guys, you mentioned them, Scotty Arfield, Scott Bain as well, the goalie, and Big Bry. They're invaluable in terms of settling us down, and yeah, they're great lads as well. That's the best thing about them. I think they've come, especially Scotty Bain and Scotty Arfield, come from such a high level, both being at the Old Firm, but just great guys, and added to the change room in terms of we've got a really good change room. It's quite a young, quite boisterous. We're loud. If you came into the stadium at any point, you're going to hear us before you see us, and they've added to that. So yeah, it's enjoyable, and when people come in like that, good people come into the group and add to the group, there's nothing better. Stephen will tell you, like, that's a lot of you're with each other a hell of a lot of the time. So to enjoy each other's company it's a nice value to have.
Stephen, Falkirk have added to their squads. Unfortunately, Motherwell have lost one of their own in Lennon Miller off to Udinese. How was that, letting him go and seeing him take that next step in his career?
You know, it took me a bit longer than I thought it was going to take. So, but no, look, Lennon, he kind of got the feeling he was going to be away this summer. I think it was a sensible decision for both him and the club to, with a year left in his contract, always becomes a bit dangerous. So it's not look at delighted. I've been on the show before and spoke how highly I rate him. I think he's got a right good chance of progressing again. From the experiences I've had seeing the kind of top players and about the Scotland squad, I think he definitely can progress and become even better and hopefully be a regular on the Scotland side. But But no, I'm really excited just to see how his career pans out, because he's a really nice, I don't want to say kid, it sounds really bad. I did play with his dad, but that's it's a bit of both. So he really nice person.
Yes.
And a really nice person, and hope him nothing but the best. And as I said, really excited to see how well he does.
I think one of the kind of, maybe surprising is not the right word, but that you mentioned, he is so young and it just has not fazed him. He just doesn't look up or down.
It's actually irritating. It's really irritating.
The clubs that he's been mentioned with or linked with, you think there's
even when he was made captain before the semi-final, like I remember, like I haven't played in the semi-final at Hampden, got injured the week of it, and I was like an emotional wreck. I was fuming, like Missy's probably hated being around me because I was missing the semi-final. He gets made the captain publicly, not even just before the game we'll give you it. And then he just like it was just another day. I was like, yeah, I wish I could take things so effortlessly. But he's in games he'd make a mistake, and rarely would you need to have a couple of times, Lennon, come on, you're better than that. And this is him losing it once in 90 minutes because he's that comfortable on the ball and just takes it so chilled. And the only thing I'd love to see him playing, like how this manager's kind of playing, to see if that would excel him even more. But no, look, he's had a great 2-3 seasons in the first team, and as I said, we'll miss him. But yeah, there comes a point you need to let them flee the nest.
That's exactly it. Will you look to get over to Italy to see him?
Oh, look, I looked and logistically it looks a bit awkward. I seen us travelling. It was Rome, Venice, up there. So
Planes, trains,
sounds but no, certainly if he wants to chuck over a few comps and some flights, I'll happily go over and see him.
Won't we all? Last question on the Cup weekend, this weekend coming up. Do you look at them any differently? Are they because they're knockout games? Is it a case of there's an extra emphasis from the managers? It depends on the opponent. Well,
I think obviously the two different games. We're playing St Johnstone, who are obviously in the Championship, but play a good style of football. They've been a Premiership team for the last how many years. It's going to be tough. We have a wee bit of, you could argue, a bit of kind of revenge to get. They kind of bet us back-to-back last season at a difficult spell for Motherwell, so we'd like to go up there and show that we've evolved as a squad and a club. But again, every cup game, every game has a kind of different meaning. And for us, it's really important as clubs the size of ourselves anyway to have cup runs, and hopefully, as I say, get to a semi or a final would be lovely. So you need to try and win every game, and hopefully against St Johnstone we can do that.
You're both not that far away from Hampden, albeit 2 games before then. Coll, would you rather put Celtic out the cup or take 3 points in the league from them?
I think Stephen said it well there. I think your priorities as a club need to come into account when you're going through these cups, and like you say, they're good for your league form. I think any team that can go well in the cup, it can breed that confidence and get you going in the league. But yeah, I would take 3 points probably. Yeah. But I'd also love to win on Friday, so why not just have both? Greedy.
Let's have both.
Ideal world, that's it. New technology in football now, guys, obviously used as players are under the microscope of stats, and it's all about numbers these days. Hearts have now operate under Jamestown Analytics. What are your thoughts on that as players and how that operates? I'm interested. I'm intrigued to see how it really works, because I came across some players who you've heard are good on the stats, and when you see them in person and they play in your team, you're going, I'm not so sure how good they are. But also there's a lot of evidence to back that over the piece to get them right, because recruitment is one of the most important things in football at every level, and it's no different for us. Like the right signing, 1 or 2 can be good in the dressing room, can make your team better, and you get them wrong, they can make the dressing room poisonous. And then they can not add to the starting 11. So recruitment is so important, and obviously there's plenty of analysis going into it, and time will tell with Hearts to see how it really happens, and really how it affects them if they are able to split the Old Firm and then challenge for leagues, which again would be great for Scotland. But it will just be interesting to see how it all pans out. I know that analytics, I don't think particularly like older guys, so I'll be really against it.
Yeah, you're too.
Exactly. So but no, like again, time will tell with these things. I think it can be right sometimes, like everything. Like I think there needs to be a judgment on your eye. Like players can kind of see if they understand the game, they might be good at keeping the ball, but Are they in the right areas? Are they getting the ball as much as they could have? Are they playing forward passes? Are they just playing back? All these things, I don't know how analytical it is, but as I said, they've certainly done very well at Brighton, and I hope Hearts have similar success.
Will more clubs use this approach, Coll, do you think, in the future?
Well, listening to Tony Bloom speak last week, no other Scottish team can actually use this Jamestown stuff. That's part of the contract that Hearts have signed with Jamestown. So no other team will be using Jamestown, which he claims to be the best in the world. It's hard to argue when you look at the record of Brighton, St Galway and Belgium as well, who won the league last year. Like Stephen said, it's exciting and it's intriguing in terms of, is it going to be that much of an X factor that can propel Hearts from being that sort of third force in Scottish football to then splitting the Old Firm? Because as much as you look at it in Belgium, and 3 teams, I think it's 3 teams over the past 20 years have won the league. St Galway broke that trend. The hold that these 2 teams have and the gap between them and so your Hearts, Hibs, Aberdeens is massive. So yeah, it's really exciting. Hearts have started well. I think as much as you look at the analytics and the recruitment, Hearts is probably what I feel is their best piece of recruitment this summer would be the gaffer. I think getting someone like him in and giving him the reins to this, to then bring in players that he wants. But then nobody knows how that sort of dynamic works either, in terms of, are these players that Derek McInnes has seen himself and things like that. But yeah, exciting times. It's obviously a direct competitor now. They're in mine and Stephen's league, so you're going to go and play against Hearts and play against these players that have been shown up to be top of the stats. And yeah, good to put your wits against them.
The thing that I always find is very difficult to really analyse is when it's in different leagues. So the league can dictate a lot of things. You can see a player do well in Scotland and go elsewhere and do terrible, and vice versa. I've seen plenty go into the Old Firm big names, or even say smaller names that have done well at other clubs that have come into ourselves or whatever, and they don't maybe do as well as you were expecting. The league, the adapting to the culture off the pitch, on the pitch, the weather, all these things play a part to how people settle. So the analytics can only show a part, but not, like I said, really interested and intrigued.
I think I listened to Tony Bloom's interview quite intently, and I think he's trying to kick all these sort of habits about, like, people like, we are so protective over our own game up here, and we talk about the Scottish game and they'll not be able to. I think he just like genuinely thinks like, no, like, no matter where this is going to work, and he's that confident in the technology. And it's impressive to hear the way he speaks. I do feel like he's added pressure onto Hearts this year, which maybe as a management team and as a set of players you wouldn't want, because when you're in the press you do like to talk things down. But yeah, I don't think he's given much of a thought to the Scottish game in terms of how it works. Like, he's like, well, this is how my technology works, or the Jamestown technology works, and it'll work regardless of where you put it in.
Another pressure that you mentioned he's probably added on Derek McInnes is that he's going to want to split the Old Firm in the next 10 years. Probably Derek McInnes didn't want to hear that, the expectations that comes with being the Hearts manager, but that's the sort of positivity and ambition that we want in Scotland.
100%. Also, if you believe in what you're selling, you need to. And the positive, as I said, in the next 10 years, like, if we say it tomorrow, now it could happen this season, we don't know, but again, teams have done it before. It's whether or not you can sustain that for a length of a period. That's where I think you really would see that Jamestown technology working and being very successful. Because let's be honest, Hearts are a massive club in Scotland. Hearts are probably, arguably, the third biggest club in Scotland. I'm sure Hibs and Aberdeen fans are absolutely fuming at that, but they're certainly there or thereabouts. So finishing third is what their budget, their recruitment pool should be. And if they then punch above their weight because of Jamestown, then great. But that's where Brighton were. Obviously they got promoted, they wouldn't have had the biggest budget, and they have used it really efficiently and been able to be a top half team in the Premier League, which is real success. But this is now the third biggest club in Scotland. Will they then get this smaller margin for success, which is second or first? And it'll be interesting. Absolutely.
Well, before we get on to our top 5 cup shocks in recent years, Coll, Falkirk are new to the Premiership this season. They're either being branded as the surprise package or will they survive? The drop, is this a real chance for John McGlynn and your team to really prove doubters wrong this season?
Yeah, 100%. I think we've been doubted all along the way. When we didn't get promotion out of League One at the first attempt, beat by Airdrie convincingly in a playoff game. There was doubters about the manager, the players that he had brought in, the style of play. The next year didn't get beat in the league, so that was a good answer to that. And then coming up into the Championship, it was a case of, well, they were playing part-time teams in League One. They won't do it against full-time teams in the Championship. Won that league. So again, it's just another hurdle, and we embrace it as a group. It's where you want to be. As much as last year was brilliant, you're still in the Championship. You want to be pitting your wits against the best players in the country. So we're just going to enjoy it. And genuinely, it is like the textbook answer, but we just want to be competitive every week. We said it last year, competitive every week, and pick up as much points as possible and see where it takes us. And don't get away from what's brought us that success over the past 3 years.
Yeah, and Stephen, your manager will obviously have highlighted to you and the rest of the squad, not to us obviously, but the non-negotiables this season.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think that's always with managers, that if they're looking for a culture, for a style, they need to be rigid on demands. Being brave is definitely one of them. And yeah, no, we as I said, we bought into it, and hopefully we can have a successful season for Motherwell and allow us then to progress, allow the manager then to maybe reinvest and hopefully he doesn't do too well, because if he does too well, then I'm sure they could be off. But getting the balance.
That's it, that's the one. Before we end then, it is Cup weekend, obviously it's knockout stages now. Upsets, do any come to mind off the top of your heads that you've seen in recent years?
Clyde against Celtic would be...
That's on the list, yeah.
One I think is Inverness against Celtic.
Yeah.
Yes,
Super Cali go ballistic.
The headline,
Celtic
that's
are
right.
atrocious.
Kelly beating Celtic 2012, the League Cup final.
Oh yeah, win the
1-0
final.
win. It wasn't a final, but Falkirk against Rangers, a 3-2 win at Ibrox, I believe.
You're going to need to give me a year check on that.
Year check, 2011.
That's a while ago, you know, but
Yeah.
Was that...
Put Rangers out, they won it the previous year.
I'm not a football historian.
it's maybe Motherwell. Any history I'm involved.
Well,
That's shocking, should know that.
hopefully we might see some cup upsets come this weekend. As always, PLZ Soccer will be covering all the games across the country with exclusive interviews, one-to-ones, and of course unique video content. But if you want even more, join us on PLZ Premium. Here's how you can do that. Subscribe to PLZ Premium today and you will be in our prize draw to win this fabulous Scott McTominay replica Napoli shirt. PLZ Premium is offering additional content from your favourite football channel. Subscribe to PLZ Premium today and you'll be in with a chance of winning this fabulous football shirt.